You know, I keep hearing about this is not who we are, and I heard it from Adam Schiff this morning. The hell it isn't who we are. It's who we've always been, Schiff. This country was founded on racism. The founding fathers owned slaves. Hard stop. 17 out of the 55 founding fathers that signed the Constitution owned 1,400 slaves and treated them like cattle. Hard stop. In that Constitution, 21-year-old white men who owned land were the only people that had rights. Hard stop. And then they said that black people were only worth 3/5 of a person. And for the first 200 years of this country, black people were treated like absolute garbage. They couldn't even drink from my water fountain, the white water fountain. They couldn't even go to a white church. Couldn't sit on the same bus. Ask Rosa Parks. Martin Luther King was put in solitary confinement. John Lewis was arrested 40 times over 6 years because he was black. And women had no rights until the 1920s, until they had to fight and claw their way. We have fought this crap since the inception of this country. And part of this country on the Republican side are going to scream and whine and bitch and moan until the bitter end. Because they see at some point the white majority is going down. That's why you hear them talking about making babies, because they want to maintain the white superiority in this country. And then you have January 6th. Primarily uneducated white people, fake Christians, that justified, their Christian faith to put up gallows, to beat officers, to stab them, to crush them indoors, drag them down the steps, hit them with fire extinguishers, in the name of Jesus, of course. And they all get pardons. Oh, and by the way, the president that's in there is a white man, a convicted felon, found liable for sexual abuse. That's okay, because he's going to bring down the price of eggs. It was never about eggs. But Colin Kaepernick, a black man who takes a knee for racial equality, peacefully protests, exercising his First Amendment right of free speech, he's a son of a bitch, and he gets fired from the NFL. But that's not who we are, right, Adam Schiff? Of course it's not. Why don't you go ask Ahmaud Arbery's family, Adam Schiff, if they think that's who we are? Because his son was chased down by 3 white U.S. citizens who I would bet my house would claim that they're Christians too. Because God forbid a black man jog down the street, he must be a criminal. He must have stolen a TV or something. Oh, those were U.S. citizens, not immigrants. And everyone that stormed the Capitol were U.S. citizens, not immigrants. But what does this country do further? They find somebody to support their patriarchy, right? Bring on Lincoln Riley. Out of the 500 plus mass shootings last year and the 600 plus the mass before, so out of almost 1,200 mass shootings over the last 2 years, they find one white girl, and this should have never happened. It's awful what happened to her. I am not condoning that at all. It was awful. But they pick one immigrant, one brown person, and they make a whole bill out of it. And every time you see the white patriarchy, Mike Johnson, that white Christian nationalist up there, her face is everywhere. Because they want to demonize anybody that doesn't look like me. So spare me, that's not who we are. When this country saw a black man sitting in a White House, instead of picking their cotton, they lost their shit. And they couldn't handle the thought of that. That's just the reality of what America is. And we had a chance in 2016 to put a woman there. And then this last election, the most qualified person in the history to run for president. She wasn't a felon. She didn't cheat on her husbands. She didn't commit tax fraud. She didn't cause an insurrection. She didn't make fun of people's ethnicity. She didn't demonize immigrants. But the fact that she was a black woman was just the bridge too far. Her cackle, right? That's what I hear all the time. I didn't like her cackle. Since 1787, 50% of this country has been comprised of women. And yet, not one time in that history have we chosen a woman to be president. In 2016, we took a man who had awful, horrible, demeaning statements about women, cheats on his wives, tax fraud, stealing from cancer charities, but they just couldn't have a woman as president. And then in 24, after the felonies, after the insurrection, after the awful economy, you could have chosen Nikki Haley. Nope, couldn't have that. Got to stay with the patriarchy. And then during the election, you could have had the most qualified person who served in every branch of the government. Nope, we have to maintain the patriarchy. I would rather have a convicted felon on a guy that wears diapers and orange makeup, who's on his third failed marriage, who can't uphold his marriage vows, who caused an insurrection, who's a convicted felon, who stole top secret documents and stored them by his golden toilet. I would rather have that than a black woman. So can we stop saying that this is not who we are, America? Because it's who we've always been. And the fact that people like Adam Schiff and Jeffries keep saying that's not who we are is the reason we're here. Because we keep denying what we are as a country. Part of this country wants to maintain the patriarchy. And that's why they don't want to abolish the electoral college system. And that's why they want to gerrymander districts. Because they're going to fight, they're going to claw, and they're going to scream every time the patriarchy gets challenged. And that's what we're seeing. They view this cult leader, and that's what he is, as maintaining and preserving the patriarchy. They don't care about democracy. They tolerated democracy for a period of time. Now they see an option where they can rule over people as the original design of the founding fathers and maintain the white patriarchy. DEI, CRT, taking out trans people, demeaning women. They're wiping all of it away. The only demographic that's not being affected by all of the executive orders is mine. That's not by accident, that's by design. And the reason we're still here is because enough people that look like me haven't spoken out about it. And we keep saying what Adam Schiff keeps saying, that's not who we are, America. Instead of, hell yeah, it is, and I'm sick and tired of it. And that's what I'm going to say every day. I'm sick and tired of the patriarchy, and it needs to go. And if that means tearing down the government and rebuilding a new one, then so be it. And if that means seceding from the union on some level, so everybody doesn't have to suffer because of this patriarchy, where people could be free from that, then so be it too. But every country this person shouldn't suffer because part of this country wants to be ignorant and doesn't want to accept everybody for what they look like. That's not the America that I want to live in.